Ah, hello sunshine. At last. There's the well-known dictum by Socrates, the unexamined life is not worth living. But the important thing that most people overlook is the living part. It seems like we tend to examine all the time. During lockdown, all we did was contemplate and examine. A lot of guys on forums, cocooned in their safe shells of thinking and speaking and arguing and pointing at the system and the world and the future and politics and all this stuff. Thinking. There's nothing wrong with examining, but the living part is something I consciously, whenever I'm not feeling quite right, I notice I'm not quite living. I'm not being glib, I'm not being self-helpish, I'm being practical. What's the point of theoretically refining your thoughts and not really seeing any value in walking out into the sunlight, so to speak? Sure, pay attention to why you live and how you live. I'm always advocating that, thinking and speaking, but living better. With the rise of mental issues, for Christ's sake, step outside of here. Many of us more intellectually curious spend far too much time in our mental ivory towers up here, sometimes looking down on the world, egotistically feeling a little bit superior than those dopes who can't speak or think well. But some of them, you might say they're apathetic, they're not thinking about their lives, they're in horrible lives, but a lot of them are fine, they're not stressed, which is more than I can say for some very intelligent guys that are going insane, living up here all the time. There's no point living up here and looking down on the world in cognitive safety. Writers are always writing about life, as I do, as I'm always talking about in this channel, but ultimately all writing and thinking leads to life. I caught up with my family the other day, and there was a rare moment where my brother, my brother-in-law and my cousin, all four of us got together and we played a pickup game of basketball. And that tactile moment of connecting with people and life is something that far exceeds like months and years of contemplation. You can't think that, you have to experience it. And we didn't sit down beforehand and plan it. I haven't pulled my hamstring, I can barely walk for 2 days. But I wouldn't give it up for the experience I had. All the intellectual understanding about life means little if you're not rewarded by life as a consequence of your thinking. At the end of the day, gentlemen, there's only life. I'm a contemplative person, a creative person, an intellectually curious person, a storyteller, a forensically interested obsessive. That's just my traits. But I find I'm consciously always having to unmoor myself from my thinking and my thoughts and ideas and engage with life. Because thinking is such a guilty pleasure of mine, it's so narcotically addictive. But my mind, like my body, needs time to rest. Life is more than collecting and refining ideas. That addictive porn-like pleasure of intellectualized contemplation, figuring things out, it's almost like forever planning and never doing. I think that's why we feel unfulfilled. There must be a healthy praxis between ideas and life itself. And that's what I'm always trying to figure out in my videos. The bridge between ideas and life. Otherwise, I feel like a fraud, because for it to be meaningful, it needs to be, practically ethical. There's this element of only being in your head, where you're only feeding one sense and you're foregoing all the other senses of human experience. You're letting all the other senses atrophy. We're ignoring our health, more or less. It's not just our mind, it's our body too, gentlemen. The tactile senses of touch and sound and taste and people and places and mistakes and learning from those. Then you can go back and have a richer experience of reflecting. When's the last time you took your shoes off and walked on grass or on sand? Come on. One of the conscious reasons why I started showing myself on camera is I instinctively knew there was life in doing this kind of stuff. Being brave enough to just kind of be a person out here, out in the world, and not just be a disembodied voice of thoughts that are just running through thousands of people's heads, including my own. I want to engage with you as a person. I want to reflect on myself as a person by engaging with the world. Don't forget, gentlemen, there's also a tremendous freedom in not having to be responsible for everything and figure life out completely. Life is passing us by as we try and calculate every inch of it up here. The matrix, we think a lot of the time, is the system out there, but often it's us in here or in here plugged in. We're plugged into one of these two places, and we're not plugged in out here. We're not bridging this to out here. I think a lot of the times the matrix is actually us escaping into either our phones or here. You know, the really smart intellectual person is like, I'm smart, I can speak better, I know more than everyone else. Okay, cool, you're about to die just like that person who's married with 5 kids and 3 divorces. Life is more than collecting ideas, gentlemen, and trying to refine perfection in those ideas and never practicing it. A life without praxis, just trapped in theory, is no life at all. Why do you think so many writers write about life and trying to get to the heart of it? Why do you think so many writers in the past especially lived it? They were drunks, they had millions of heartbreaks, and you could tell they were smarter than their heartbreaks and the mistakes they made. But why did they keep making them? I'm not saying you should, but that bridge between ideas and life is really important, and there's so few of us making that bridge or even wanting to. We think there's no point. Don't avoid the tactile aspects of what constitutes a well-rounded life. That means more than just filling up a mental library. Don't get so deep in your thinking, gentlemen, that you can't find your way back to life itself. The other element is your thinking can actually control you. At least the world doesn't always control you. Like the sun is the sun, concrete is concrete, my camera is my camera. At the end of the day, gentlemen, this is just life. Anyway, I hope that was useful and you got something out of that. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon and select all to be notified of all my videos. It really helps me out. 60% of my audience still isn't subscribed. That's what my stats tell me, so please just double check you're subscribed. Share my video on your social media. Give me a thumbs up if you liked this video. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't. Comment below the video. And if you feel like donating, links below. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you very soon, guys. Bye.